The draft is now fully wrapped up, and the Avs stood pat and made all of their picks without making a single trade on the draft floor this season. Let's not waste any more time here. While day 2 wasn't the total grand slam that day 1 was, the Avs still put a very good one together.
Has a breakaway.
With Byram and Newhook already part of the team, the Avs started out day 2 and the second round, picking 47th overall, where they take Drew Helleson, a defenseman from the USNTDP. There are things I like about this pick and some things I don't. I do like that the Avs went D here. They really need to round out their defensive prospect pool, especially unsigned guys. Even after Byram is quite thin. Helleson was also ranked smack on 47th on Bob McKenzie's list, so he went right where he was expected to go. With that said, Helleson seems to be a very conservative pick, to say the least. Scoring just 5 goals on one of the highest US scoring teams of all time is definitely a little bit lacking, and there are certainly some questions about his offensive upside. Now, part of that is because he had to play behind a number of other defensemen on that team, but I still have a lot of questions about how much he's going to provide there. Helleson definitely shapes up to be more of a defensive defenseman, and he uses very good skating and solid positioning to do his work defensively, and then does have a knack for transitioning the puck the correct direction. As a bonus, he will also be joining Alex Newhook at Boston College next season, so we can watch both of them together. Overall, I was hoping for a defenseman that was a little bit more dynamic with this pick. You really want to bet a little bit more on skill when you're picking this high, but it's still a solid pick, and I'm happy with it. And that brings us to the Avs' first third rounder, 63rd overall, the first pick of the third round. And in a draft day that on the whole was very, very solid, this pick is a bit of a baffler. The Avs selected forward Matthew Steenberg out of Canadian high school with this pick. Even after they announced the pick, I had no idea who this was. And to be clear, I have managed to find some footage of him, but it's still a very small sample size, so take everything here with a grain of salt on him. But after viewings, I still don't understand this pick, and I struggle to really see much upside at the NHL level at all in his game. I think his play lacks a lot of pace, especially at a level that low. You would expect it to be more consistent, and it really isn't. I don't want to be all negative, though. He does have a good shot. He never shies away from physicality, oftentimes seeking it out. So if you're looking to add something like that, that may be something he can provide. He's also a hard worker, putting in effort on both the forecheck and back check, where he looks solid and is able to take pucks away from people. He's another kid going the NCAA route, going to Cornell, but he has a long way to go to get to the NHL level, even to get to the pro level. Is this the worst pick ever? No, of course not, but really, Steenberg does not look like a third rounder. If you were taking him in the 6th and 7th, you just kind of shrug your shoulders and go, alright, try and get a grinder out of him, but I expect more skill, again, out of a top 100 pick. So that one was a little bit weird. It seemed like the Avs may have missed their man there. Nikita Alexandrov went pick 62 just before them, and they seemed to scramble a little bit. So not really sure what happened there, but definitely the weakest pick of the day for them. Thankfully, they made up for it a bit with their second third round pick at pick 78, taking Alex Bocage. And he's a 39 goal scorer coming out of the QMJHL, a lot more what I was looking for from these middle rounds, a bunch of offensive upside there. A goal scoring winger coming in at 6 foot 295 pounds, it's something the Avs are definitely lacking a bit. He's a player that thrives off of finding openings away from the puck and finishing off plays, burying them in the back of the net. The big thing holding him back is his skating ability. It really does hurt him in all 3 zones on the ice, and that's why he fell to the third round. He does consistently put in hard work. I would like to see him use his physicality a little bit more. With a body that size, he should be extremely physical. Still, you can see the offensive presence there, and certainly a risk worth taking for the Avs. Very happy with this one. After that, the Avs didn't have a 4th round pick, so we got to sit around for 60 picks just twiddling our thumbs until our next one came up. Getting outside the top 100 now, you really are starting to see a lot of flaws in the players that are going, and teams are just taking the favorites off of their own board. So don't put too much stock in anything either way here, but personally I think the Avs made some very solid picks in the later rounds. In the 5th round, 140th overall, they went with Sasha Mutala out of Tri-Cities in the WHL. For Mutala, and you're going to see the Avs follow suit with their 6th and 7th picks here, he was a guy who had a lot of hype early in the year, and the Avs took advantage of that, taking chances on these guys who had fallen down boards in the later rounds. If you take all of the good things I said about the Avs' 3rd rounder Steinberg, you can pretty much apply those to Mutala as well. And then on top of that, Mutala has a lot more upside. He's a very good skater, not small, but maybe not quite as big as a couple of the other selections the Avs have made, but that doesn't mean he shies away from physicality at all, and is also a 20-goal scorer. He showcases that relentless type of effort that you love to see in players that project to your bottom 6 or maybe 3rd line. There are some big questions on him on how much offense is actually there. The ceiling is pretty high, but how far can he take it? I really, really like this pick. I think you can project him as kind of a Matt Calvert type player. These are the guys you need to get to the NHL on occasion. Get a cheap ELC for a player that works extremely hard for you and can give you a lot in your depth. Another thing you'll notice for all 3 forwards the Avs have picked so far actually is they're all right-hand shooters. That's something the Avs do not have a lot of at all, so you could see they might have been targeting that a little bit. So now we're starting to get really deep into the draft, the 6th round with the 171st pick. The Avs take their usual one overager for the draft in Luca Berzan. Another forward out of the Brandon Wheat King system from the WHL. The Avs seem to be garnering some decent ties to that system, especially starting with Ty Lewis and their scout Klippenstein. Berzan went undrafted in the 17-18 season, putting together a middling season, being traded to Brandon halfway through that year. But this season, he started to put it all together, putting up well over a point per game and adding 40 goals. Berzan is, of course, an overager, so you do have to take that into account, and he's a bit of a departure from the last couple of forwards the Avs have taken. Less physical, focusing more on the skill aspect of the game and playing off of his teammates. This is the 6th round, so of course you're not betting on his skill ceiling being incredibly high, but it's about as high as you can get in the 6th round. As an added bonus, he'll only need 1 more year of juniors before jumping into the Avs AHL team, which could definitely use the bodies. In the same vein as Ty Lewis, his true upside remains to be seen, but he very well could carve something out for himself in this organization. And finally, in the 7th and final round with the 202nd pick, the Avs take their one goalie of the draft in Trent Miner. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can give you a quality scouting report on goalies. It's just not my forte. What I can show you is his stats down here on the bottom of the screen and tell you that he plays for the Vancouver Giants, so he's Bowen Byram's goaltender. He's something a little bit different for the Avs as far as goaltenders are concerned. 1, he's playing in North America. 2, he's only 6'1", which certainly isn't small, but not the usual gigantor goaltender that the Avs love to take. He split time in Vancouver's net this year and posted pretty impressive numbers during the regular season, but seemed to struggle in his few showings during the playoffs. If you're going to take a 7th round flyer on a goalie, this kid seems as good as any. And that wraps up the Avs draft. 8 picks total, 6 on day 2, and I really only have serious concerns about one of these picks. Of course, you never know. We don't know how this draft will shake out over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but the Avs have certainly set themselves up well to perhaps finally get some talent beyond the 1st round. I'm excited to continue looking at these guys and figuring out exactly the type of players that they are. That is the end of this draft day 2 video review. Thank you for watching, and as always, a special thank you to all of my contributors on both PayPal and Patreon. You guys are amazing, and it's you that makes it possible for me to dig so deep into these prospects. I'm Rudo3, and a quick note, Avalanche Dev Camp starts this coming Wednesday. I will be there for all 3 days of Dev Camp, including the 3-on-3 up in Fort Collins on Friday. So if you want to come watch some prospects, or you just want to come hang out, say hi, and talk a little bit of hockey, come on down, and I will be happy to chat with you.
Avalanche time, come on, grab your friends. We're going to the playoffs again with